In 1939, President Roosevelt, fearing that we might be drawn into World War II, started a program called CPTP, Civilian Pilot Training Program. This program was designed for high school and college students to learn how to fly on government expense. The criteria was for 17 or 18 years old to just sign up and be welcomed into the program. A black student had to have 2 years of college in order to join. And actually, General Arnold, he informed President Roosevelt that there was no sense in starting a training school for blacks because he had no blacks in his Air Force. President Roosevelt reminded him that if he couldn't follow orders like he ordered him to do, he could find somebody to replace him. So quite naturally, General Arnold decided to go along, and
Just keep talking.
and he started this school in Tuskegee, Alabama. No one wanted to go to Tuskegee, Alabama. It was segregated, but once you passed Cincinnati, Ohio, everything was segregated. But the only thing is, it was better to go to Tuskegee than not to go anywhere at all. It was a program that was designed to fail. General Arnold made sure that all the instructors in this class would be segregationists, and their orders were to fail everyone that they could. Out of the first class, 15 cadets, only 5 completed the course. The first class was what they called 42C, 1942 Class C. Every 3 months, they started a new class. They had got to the point where the officer would come into the barracks for inspection. You'd stand in front of our beds and at attention, and we'd come up and get in your face and stare you in the eye. And if your belt buckle wasn't shined properly, you got a gig. If your shoes weren't shined properly, you got another gig. They taught you how to make your bed. If the mattress wasn't tight enough on your bed, you took a quarter and bounced it on that bed, and if it didn't bounce back up, you got another gig. They had white gloves on, they go behind your bed, rub their finger across the windowsill, dust get on that glove, you got another gig. 5 gigs you would pick out of the program. We had mechanics, radio operators, control operators, doctors, and master's, bachelor's degrees. Damn good pilots, but they were kicked out of the service. Some of them, rather than go back home and wait for the draft board to call up their number, they volunteered to stay in. So these were no dummies. Finally, they started to relax the conditions for joining the program. And every 3 months, they would start a new class. 42C, 42D, 42E. When you got to the end of the year, you started with 44A. I finally ended up with quite a few cadets there. And it ended up with the first squadron was the 99th Fighter Squadron. More students were coming out of the program. So when the program, not only in Tuskegee, they were also training men in Illinois and different parts of the country as radio operators, control air traffic controllers, and so forth. So when you join this class, they recruited they recruited from 7 black colleges. Howard University, Hampton, Delaware State, West Virginia State, North Carolina AT&T, Tuskegee Institute. It wasn't a college at the time, it was an institute. Tuskegee Institute and Coffee Field of Aviation in Chicago, Illinois. So eventually they got to the point where all the planes we had were hand-me-downs. You had to take parts off of 4 or 5 wrecks to make one good airplane. And it got to the point where when they finally sent the first squadron, the 99th Fighter Squadron, overseas on the boat, when they got there, first thing they did was bring the planes in and assign them to look for submarines. I don't know what submarines are going to do in Africa, but that's what our job was, to control the shores of Africa. Eventually, bomber groups, they were having a rough time. The B-17 and the B-24s were the workhorse of the Army Air Corps. And there was nothing to see a combat unit of bombers, 400 bombers, 500 bombers, going on a combat mission. You can't imagine looking up in the sky and all you can see is airplanes. They were stretched out from Youngstown almost to Toledo. Before they were so slow that they would take off maybe 2 hours before everyone else. They assigned a fighter squadron to meet them at a rendezvous point before they went into enemy territory. The bombers was traveling around 275 to 280 miles an hour, which is very slow. The fighter pilots going 375, 400 miles an hour, so it didn't take them long to catch up to them. When they got into enemy territory, squadrons would be flying around with the bombers. If they saw a group of German fighters over here, a lot of them would leave the bombers and go over there to shoot down some German fighters. Shoot down 5 planes, you're an ace. As soon as they leave the bombers, another group of German planes would come from behind, infiltrate the units, and they'd shoot these bombers down like sitting ducks. They, out of a flight of 400 bombers, they were lucky if 250 came back. So eventually they were losing so many bombs, they lost more men in the Army Air Corps in fighting with the bomber units than any other service personnel in the service, unit. So eventually they came to Colonel Davis and they asked him if he could escort these bombers. The 99th was transferred in the 79th Fighter Unit, while the other 3 squadrons, the 100th, 301st, and 302nd, was in a group by themselves, the 332nd Fighter Unit. Eventually, they put the 99th with the 332nd. They asked Colonel Davis if he could escort these bombers. Colonel Davis said, yes, we can escort them, but we have to have something to fly. This junk we have here won't even keep up with anything. So they agreed to give them brand new Mustangs, P-51 Mustangs. They flew them in 7 or 8 a day, 7 or 8 a day, until they brought the squadron up to Florida. Colonel Davis rounded everyone up in the hangar, and he told them, he said, look, your job is to escort these bombers. I don't want to see anyone chasing off, going off chasing after enemy bombers or enemy fighters for your own personal glory. He said, now if you decide to take off and go after an enemy fighter, one of those mamas gets shot down that you're supposed to be protecting, you better get shot down too or don't come back here. That was Colonel Davis' word. No one but Colonel Davis. Yeah, I think he got 3 promotions in one day. He was a captain, a major, and a colonel all in one day. But he was a West Point graduate, and he went to West Point for 4 years. No one ever spoke to Colonel Davis unless he's in the official part of his duty. He ate by himself. He would refuse permission to sit down at a table and have breakfast on a Sunday morning. During the week, he was assigned a table. Sunday morning, you had to ask permission to sit down and eat. As soon as you go to a table, get permission denied. Go around to another table, permission denied. You have to take his meal back to his room, sit there and eat his meal and so forth. Dancing, he had to dance by himself. And that was just terrible. So we ended up with 15 to 18,000 people in the Tuskegee area. We also had 4 squadrons of women. People don't know this, but the women were everything but pilots. They did everything. Truck drivers, mechanics, air traffic controllers, and they were terrific. We eventually got over into Ramatelli at the huge base. And it was so muddy that they had to put down metal tracks for the planes to roll across without sinking. And out of this huge base, we were so far in the back, in the corner, nobody else knew we were back there. So when you're coming in for a landing, and you know some planes are down there, you don't know who they are, where they are. So eventually, every fighter group had markings or emblems, nose art on their planes, and it was to distinguish them. Mustangs, all of the 4 squadrons, all the planes looked the same, but on the rudder of the plane, there's a small tab like this. They call it a trim tab. The 99th Fighter Squadron's trim tab was blue. 100th was black, the 301st was yellow, and the 302nd was white. So if you saw a plane going down the runway, you looked for the trim tabs to see what squadron it was from. And it got to the point where they started in combat, and they were very successful. So in the meantime, they stopped and hijacked the train, and the Titan train, and it's brought it back close to where we were stationed there. You come to find out that a couple of boxcars had a whole lot of red paint in. There was a master sergeant from Cleveland, Ohio. He decided to steal all this red paint and called the trucks in, lowered the red paint on these trucks, took them back to the base, and he painted all the tails red, bright red, brilliant red. So that's where the name, the Red Tails, come from. And the Germans, when they found out that the pilots from the 332nd were black, they named them the Schwarzschild Vogelmenschen, black bird men. It got to the point where you had 50 missions, combat missions. You could come back to the United States. We couldn't come back to the United States with 150 or 160 missions because we had no replacements. So a lot of guys just stayed on and kept on. In fact, they were enjoying themselves. And near the end there, Colonel Davis was called back before the Congressional Committee to stand up for the group. And because they claimed the group wasn't having a record as good as the rest of the fighter squadrons. But after close scrutiny from the military high brass, they decided that their fighting record was no worse than any of the others. So they were allowed to stay. They wanted to disband. And then On the way back from a bombing mission in, I forgot where it was. The bombers didn't show up. So on the way back to the base, they came past a harbor in Trieste, Yugoslavia. German destroyer was just pulling out after refueling. Charlie Hall and Pearson, they decided they're going to attack this German destroyer. They turn around, they come in about 35, 40 feet above the water, and they start shooting at this ship. Well, they missed the ship the first time. They went around and came back a second time, and they must have gotten lucky or something, because they either hit the mines on the deck or the ammunition load, and the ship exploded. The Pentagon said it was impossible. You can't sink a destroyer with 50 caliber ammunition because they have no bombs. But every plane has a camera in the wing, right wing. Every time you push the button to fire that weapon, that camera is activated. And they took the film and developed it, get the evidence for us. So they were the only two to ever sink a German destroyer with 50 caliber ammunition. And then again, after I have one thing about the Freeman Field mutiny. What happened was the fellows that were 190, 200 pounds, it was tight for them to get into an airplane. So they decided to start a bombing ring. They assigned them to B-25s. And the plane was large enough for 6 men. They had plenty of room, and the heavy guys had plenty of room to move around. So they took their training at Freeman Field in St. Louis, Indiana. What happened was, when they finished their training, they had nowhere to go. Flight squadron didn't take it. They didn't want it. So they trained over again. Some of them trained 4 times. They knew every nut and bolt on the plane. They knew more than the instructor was trying to train. So, in the evening, when nothing to do, very monotonous, 3 of them decided they were going to the White Officers Club and have a drink. We went up to this White Officers Club. The officer of the day, who's in charge of the base while off duties at 4 o'clock. He turned over and told them they couldn't come in. So they turned around and start walking back. While they're walking back, here comes 6 or 7 more going up there. He turned into them. While they're walking back, here comes 15 or 20 of them, a whole bunch of them. They got up there to the steps, and the officer of the day told them they couldn't come in, and he didn't know what to do, so he called Colonel Selway was in charge of the base, commanding officer. Selway come running up in a Jeep. He didn't know what to do. He was a yes man for General Hunter, so he called General Hunter. General Hunter wasn't on the base. He told him, hell no, they're not coming in that damn club, close the place. So they closed the officers' club. In the meantime, before that happened, Roger Terry and there's two more rushed the officer of the day aside and walked up to the bar, told him to get him beer. So a couple of days later, we rounded everyone up in the hangar just like this. And they had typed up some phony card, supposed to be an Army Regulations 85-2 or something. And it stipulated that a white officers club was off limits to black officers. And they wanted everyone to sign this card that they read and understood. 101 would not sign it. They said, we read it, but we did not understand it. So they called them in one at a time, day by day, trying to force them to sign this thing. They still wouldn't sign it. Mayor Colton Young from Detroit, he was in that bunch. He was a big-time lawyer. So anyway, after they couldn't convince them to sign it, They called in 6 C-47 transport planes, marched them out to the park. The field was surrounded with MPs, submachine guns, to make sure no one got away. And he loaded these planes up with his black officers. There was one fellow came up, he was on the runway with a camera taking photos. He walked over, grabbed his camera, smashed the camera, took the film, handed his smashed camera back. He went back into the hangar, got him a shoebox, cut a hole in the shoebox, put another camera in the shoebox, and went right back out there taking photos. So eventually, when we developed these films, they all got back to black press in the United States. The Pittsburgh Courier, Hall, Philadelphia Inquirer, all these black newspapers were showing photos of all this going on. And the top brass in Washington wanted to know, what the hell is going on here? There was a congressional investigation about it. But in the meantime, they had charged these officers with treason, disobeying a superior officer, dishonorable discharge, and the possibility of death. So President Roosevelt had died. President Truman was in charge at the time. When the bill hit his desk for him to sign, Truman, how the hell am I going to execute 101 officers in the United States Army? That is when he integrated all the services, Executive Order 991. He integrated all the services, especially the Army, Air Corps, and the Navy. And that was the end of the Army Air Corps, and the beginning of the United States Air Force. So the United States Air Force didn't start until around 1947, 48, somewhere in that area. I remember they used to have a contest for anyone that could design new uniforms for the new Air Force. That's what you see wearing them wearing today. In fact, they even changed the insignias that you had on your sleeves. They didn't change your bars. Everybody that trained as a cadet came out of school, they were commissioned second lieutenants. All of them trained the same. But at the date of graduation, the fellows that had gone to college had a gold bar on their street when they trained. The ones that not attend college, they had a gold bar, but they had a red square in the middle of it. That means that they were a flight officer. And I guess they didn't have to pay it as much. They were just about like a chief warrant officer. They had a lot of power, but they were damn good pilots too. So in the meantime, when they started that 477th Medium Bombardment Corps, that's when most of these guys were, quite a few of them were flight officers. That ended up there with another incident where in 19, have to forgive me, my mind is blank. But anyway, after the war was over, fellas in Detroit, Michigan, they decided to start the Tuskegee Airman Incorporated. And most of the veterans and so forth, they from different cities all across the country, they start forming chapters. We have over 50-something chapters across the country. And they're dwindling now because mostly everyone died. But there was 4 classifications. You had the original Tuskegee Airmen, the heritage members who had family empathy, the associate members where anyone can join, and then the students. So it's still going on today. I particularly didn't care for the chapter because now they have a convention the first week of August every year. And when they have this convention, the registration That's a couple of years. Let's go to 425 hours. Oh, these guys are 90 years old, 85, 90 years old. They don't have any $400 for the registration. I figured by the time I pay registration, airfare, and they go to different cities all over the country, hotel bill, and all this here, I'm out $2,000 and I'm still sitting in Cleveland. So I took it. The heck with that. I don't have to go. I don't know how they feel about it. And then everyone is old and crippled, canes, wheelchairs, walkers, and all this. They can't afford that kind of money. So now they've decided to go in cahoots with the Black Pilots Association, the Black Airline Pilots Association, Black Pilots, and maybe about 4 or 5 more different groups. If you're going to have a convention, why do you have to have all these different groups at the same convention? If you, one group is over here meeting, another one's over there meeting, it's a turmoil. Now, last thing is right here. I had a book here from 1942, August 17th. This is just a handful of the officers that were in training at Tuskegee. We had between 15 and 18,000 people there, so you can imagine how many officers we had there. There was 1,030 that signed up for the program. And out of the 1,030, 992 completed the course. So after the war was over, we meet all these people, so hit the door, Jack. But a lot of them went back and went to took the GI Bill, went to school, and became very successful businessmen. Over here in 1949, we had the convention, not a convention, well, it was more of a convention in Detroit, Michigan. And they had, well, before that, they had this competition. The government invited the different fighter squadrons to come to Las Vegas for a gunnery competition, Top Gun, we call it. You could take 4 pilots, 3 to participate, 1 alternate, in case something happened to anyone. And it did. One of the crew chiefs for the squadrons, they had the twin Mustangs come in, and during the practice run, Austin, he asked the pilot if he could sit on the other side. There's 2 planes. There's like 2 fuselages. The pilot, he could fly from either side. So he wanted to fly on, sit on one side. And this was a jet pilot. Jets were just coming in. And sure, come on, get on the other side. So he went up, circled the field, he come back to make a pass over one of the targets. And evidently he was going too high or too fast or something, so he decided to turn around and make another run. Coming back in, he was still low, and something happened, and the plane hit the ground, both on the feet, and so forth. And that was a pretty mournful thing. But after that, they continued the gunnery competition. You had to fly before 10 o'clock in the morning because Vegas was, the desert was so hot that it affected the planes. It's hard to fly a plane in hot weather. So we had shooting behind targets pulled by C-47 planes, skip bombing, shooting rockets at the targets. The jets couldn't shoot rockets, so they divided it into two classes. Out of the 15 events, we won 14 of them. And according to the Air Force Almanac, the winners of the first Top Gun are unknown. So we called Harry Stewart, over he was one of the pilots, and we asked him if he could clarify that. Harry said, I not only can clarify it, I still have the scores. So this is him here. So we had to call the people from the almanac company and adjust that thing. But in the meantime, when they had that banquet right after that, in 70, they called the Air Force to see if they could use this with the trophy. This was a trophy. That trophy disappeared for 46 years. Nobody could find it. And you wanted to know, where the heck is that trophy at? Well, this is at the same time that they were integrating. And you looked and looked and you couldn't find it. A lady from Marietta, Georgia, Zelly Orr, she was determined to track this trophy down. There's two of them, one 36 inches high or a little better, and there's a small one 20 inches. So she kept on, she called different places. She finally located this trophy, buried in the basement, right Patterson Air Base, still in the creek. Almost, but still tracking down. But they were supposed to go to the Pentagon every 2 years and have a new nameplate put on. So at this dinner dance or whatever it was in Detroit, they called to see if they could get this trophy and put in the lobby of the hotel as on display. People in the Air Force told them that it was impossible for them to get this trophy, because if they took it out and exposed it to the atmosphere, it would affect metal somehow. So that was known. But that Saturday afternoon, here come the staff car riding up the truck with 6-5 truck behind him. And these guys took this crate out, took it in the hotel, unfree. Here was a trophy. They put it on a pedestal in the hotel, and everybody could walk around and see this trophy displayed. And when the banquet was over, they packed that trophy up and took it back with it. But right now, if you go to Wright Patterson Air Base, it is on display. So it's one of the things that I'm finding glad of. And this is my, that evening, after everything was over, took a bath, showered, and changed clothes, dressed up pretty, combed my hair and everything. We went in Las Vegas to, it was either Flamingo, Indians, one of the casinos. Somebody walked in the door, security guard turned us around and put us out, and he told us to keep walking. And the very next day, we had to go back to the same hotel to get the presentation of the trophy. This is the trophy. So it was a big to do about that. And then we were stationed in Columbus, Ohio at the time, Lockbourne Air Base. It's Rickenbacker Air Base now. And this is the photo when they returned. The first one showed the group out there being orientated. And then there was one, the band is out in the back, the MPs are lined up in double file, and the guys are coming through. As they come through, they give us a wave. And this is one of my pride and joys. So there's quite a bit about this group. And I'm just glad I was a part of it. Everybody was young, dumb, crazy. We have the flight instructors going across, and over in Detroit, they had a bridge over there. And got close to the bridge, they didn't know what to do. We just went under the bridge. First guys were okay. The ones following him, water splashes all over. And it was a heck of a sight. And then one got promotions. promotions were almost non-existent. We had one second lieutenant. He was a second lieutenant for about 17 years. He was so controversial that we didn't get him with the promotion at all. And then I have here, this you won't believe. I have here the cost of living 1930. New home, $7,146. Average income, $1,973. A new car, $610. Average rent, $15 a month. Tuition to Harvard University, $400 per year. Movie tickets, 25 cents each. Gasoline, 10 cents a gallon. United States postage stamp, 2 cents. Food, granulated sugar, 65 cents for a 10-pound bag. Vitamin D milk, 56 cents per gallon. Ground coffee, 46 cents per pound. Bacon, 25 cents a pound. Eggs, 15 cents a dozen. Fresh ground hamburger, 13 cents a pound. And fresh baked bread, 9 cents a loaf. But then again, during the war, a lot of people, you couldn't get beef, butter, all that was ration. I mean, that all went to the service. People ate horse meat. I forgot how 49 cents a pound for the steaks, horse meat steaks. But people didn't know they were eating it. It was advertised. But there was a little bit of margarine. That's where margarine came. You couldn't get butter, so they made a substitute margarine. Ladies couldn't buy silk stockings. You couldn't get automobile, a tire stator automobile if you hung up unless you had permission from the government with some stamps. I had a gas station in Cleveland, Ohio, when it came out to service. I think the gas at that time was 17 cents a gallon. And I had to get over glasses, cups, Eagle snacks. I don't know if any of you know what Eagle snacks are, but every 10 cents you got an Eagle snack. When you fill out that book, you can take it downtown and make up and get $2 or $3 worth of products. But it's a long ways from what it is to do. So I'm just about finished. Are there any questions? Yes, sir. I'm sorry, but I'm hard of hearing.
Are there any aircraft from the outfit reserve, fighters or bombers, do you know of?
What was that again?
Would there be any of the aircraft reserve from out of the squad?
You mean here?
Anywhere in America?
That I couldn't answer. I don't know. I really don't know. They had this plane out here, this Navy plane. I think it's right in front of the door, an Avenger. That thing burned quite a bit of gasoline. Not gasoline, aviation fuel, 100 octane aviation fuel. And you wouldn't believe it, but at the World Run in Michigan, they have an air show. And usually whoever's promoting this air show trying to finance some of these guys bring these planes in because it's just so expensive now. You can't afford to fly a plane like that without some kind of compensation. So that plane there, it's got a burden, 12 gallon minute, just sitting on the ground. So if you don't see them sitting on the ground, and the Mustang. Mustang burned a gallon a minute, 60 gallons an hour. And in the wings of the planes, they had rubber tanks, self-sealing rubber tanks. depending on the model, 110 gallons on each side. They put, there was a company in Columbus, Ohio that made external bench tanks. They held 110 gallons. They went up under the wings of the planes. That's what you started off with. They were made out of paper mesh. They wouldn't make them out of metal because when the tank was empty, you press the button and the thing dropped off the wing. If they were metal, the Germans would nail them down and shoot them back at you. So they made them out of paper. People don't know this stuff. And that was mostly some of the things that went on during the service. So I don't want to make.
Well, I understand that you were, on top of everything else you've done, you were also in the Army, with the Army Air Corps Band.
Yeah.
What was the name of the instrument that you played?
The glockenspiel.
The glockenspiel.
The glockenspiel. Everybody called it the bells. I was a musician in the Army, in the Army band too. 766 Army band. I played the glockenspiel, like you said. The tuba, oboe, clarinet, and French horn. As the men got discharged and the term officers over, somebody had to fill these positions. And all we had to do all day long was sit down and practice and learn a new instrument and everything. So that was one of the reasons I joined the Army. I was a track star in high school. We were in the Capitol waiting for the track meet to start one Saturday morning. And we went outside waiting for the bus to come and take us to Ohio State University. And we sat on the curb, we heard all this noise coming down the street, and as they got closer, there was a parade starting. And the 766 Air Force Band from Lockport Air Base was they were leading the parade. I mean, they were terrific. Dressed in that, playing beautifully. And you could hear these bells and the front line is trombones. And these bells ringing and so forth. So we sat there and I told my buddy, I said, Donald, if I get out of high school, I'm going to see if I can join the Army and get into that band. And eventually I signed up in 1947 to join the Army. I didn't get called up until the first part of 1948. They called me, they called my home and told me they would be down at the federal building that we wanted to take a physical. I went downtown in Cleveland, Ohio, to the federal building. It's not where the federal building is now. This was a diagonal way across the street. Went there and they told me everyone take off their clothes and go downstairs and have a physical. When they got through, they got dressed and they said, oh, you guys are all 1A, so you get dressed and come on back upstairs. But I went upstairs and I'm ready to go back outside, catch a streetcar and go back home, tell my mother I joined the Army. First thing they said, well, where do you think you're going? I said, I'm going back home and tell my mother I'm in the Army. They said, you're in the Army now. You take your rear end across the street, go down that escalator, get on that train, and you can call her when you get where you're going. And I'm saying, oh my goodness, my mother don't know where I am. And I didn't know where I was going. It took 2 days to get to Texas. And when I got to Texas, Red Cross provided for me to call back home to my mother and told her I was in the Army. We got paid $50 a month. Red Cross took $10 of that money and mailed it back to my mother every month. But $40 a month was a pretty good salary. You didn't have to buy anything. All your fur, your clothing, your shoes, the housing, and food and everything, it was taken care of. So all you had to buy was gum if you smoked, cigarettes, if you drank, buy some little booze or something. So it went quite a ways. And I just enjoyed it. And the veterans that were in the Army in training camp, these were some true guys. They knew how to get every dime of their money out of it. They'd start a dice game at payday, they paid you in cash. They'd go up against the wall, and the guys that wanted to shoot dice or something, would play cards and blackjack. These guys are so slick, they ended up with all the money. They caught me 1 month, and that was enough for me. They made a Christian out of me. So, they're professionals on it. And I don't know if I should say this or not, but I went out, payday, I went outside, and they had paved streets, just like a small city. All these guys are standing in line, and I didn't know what they were standing in line for, but a couple of these sergeants had a station wagon. And a couple of guys get in that station wagon, they go around the block, come back about 10 minutes later. 2 more guys are getting there. What the heck is going on here? Come to find out they had 2 women in that station wagon. And they go around and go, what are they going to do? Drop their work and the 2 guys off, come back and get another. So they finally dawned on me what was happening. But there was a lot of funny incidents in the service. People don't really know what happened. I went to Salina, Kansas at integration. And I was the only black in the group out there. They didn't want me in. I get ready to go to bed at night. My mattress is soaked with water. I got to sleep on the floor. I can laugh about it now. I wasn't laughing. And so eventually that stopped. It cooled down. And they closed that base in Kansas, Salina, Kansas. It's Salina's international airport now. They gave it to the city government. And they transferred everyone to Shreveport, Louisiana, Barksdale Field. That was a godforsaken place as far as I'm concerned. So, going into the city, and first thing you get off there, the sheriff or the police department will tell you, you boys know we've got a curfew in this town. Make sure you're out of town by 10 o'clock. They didn't have to worry about me. But I didn't leave the base. I didn't heck with that. And that's where I got discharged from. Shreveport, Louisiana. And I thought I could stay and retire. The South was just a little more than I could handle. If you're walking down the street and a white lady comes down that sidewalk, you had to get out in the street until she passed. Then you could get back on the sidewalk. So it was stuff like that, segregation. It was terrible. It was really terrible. So I'm glad they got over that. You had to ride in the back of the bus. No seats, you stood. And that's the same, that's what happened to this lady down in Atlanta, Rosie Park. She refused to go to the back of the bus. That's what started all that confusion. So, like I say, the segregation is still. But are there any more questions?
How long were you in?
3 years. 3 years was enough for me. I wanted to stay, but I couldn't. And then everybody, like I said, everyone was young and dumb and crazy, and they didn't think anything would happen to them. When the Army instilled in you that you were the best, I can fly better than you. You can fly better than I, and all this stuff. It's just a brainwashing. So, but as you get older, and you realize all the chances you were taking then, you wouldn't think about doing them now because you know better. So, and everybody in there was young. 25, 26 years old, you were an old man. As I was in that B-25 outside there yesterday, I'm glad I'm glad I didn't have to go in there again. There's, you go up a 3-step ladder to get in the plane. The seat's this high, behind the pilots. I had a heck of a time trying to get up that high in that seat. Okay.
Are there any more questions for Roy?
I just wanted to know if your family, if any of your family members, like took your legacy of being in the military.
I couldn't hear.
Just if any of your family followed in your footsteps.
Anybody in your family following in your footsteps?
No. I have 2 daughters. One is, my oldest daughter is 61. My youngest daughter is 45. I thought I was going to have a son. No such luck. And
What did you do?
my grandfather owned a construction company, and I went to work for him. And I'm glad I did, because I followed his trade, and I had a very successful life and income after the service.
Any other questions? Would you folks mind staying a few more minutes? Kent State University, maybe you came to like to make a couple of presentations here. So, and we'll give them a big round of applause.
Hey guys, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate the work you guys doing today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful presentation, my friend.
Kent State University to join us on this nice and sunny day now. We enjoy your company here, and we do want to thank you for
Thanks, Chip.
earlier event. I think Mr. Weaver on that. On behalf of Kent State University Aeronautics, we would like to thank Mr. Roy Richardson, Mr. George Barnett, Mr. M.L. Weaver for their service to this country both during World War II and also after. We'd like to present them with a medallion on behalf of Kent State University Aeronautics. Could you please give them a round of applause for the first company?
Thank you, sir.
Yep. Thank you so much. Mr. Weaver, thank you.
Okay, you stay seated. You guys one on each side. Okay, hold those medals so I can see them.
All right.
Okay, wait. Hold your medals so I can see it. There we go. That's it. Right at the camera, right at the camera. Right at the camera. Ready? You guys get it okay? Look over here.
Okay. My legs are killing me. You are killing me.
I know.
Okay, I think we got it.
Keep pumping. And we have one more presentation here from the Yankee Air Museum. Blue Rangers present to us.
Good afternoon, folks. I'm Blue Ranger from the Yankee Air Museum. It's Belleville, Michigan, going around there for on B-25 still out there. These gentlemen rode on our B-25 yesterday, and we have a special honor award that we present to our greatest generation of people in right on the plane, and we have 3 of these today for these gentlemen. Anyway.
It's going gray hair.
Yeah, oh, it is gray hair. George?
Yes. We're going back.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Oh.
Yeah, I'll get to it here in a minute, George.
You're not used to doing that.
Yeah. Don't leave, everybody. Here we go. All right. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir?
Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you. That is what.
Okay, let's get all three of you with this way. Come over here. Come over here. Over here. Okay. Ready? All right. Look at me first. Me first. Good. All right. Look at Tony. Look at Tony. Get it? Got it. All right.
Okay. There's one that is taking a picture of it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
All right. I hope I can stand up now.
Take your time.
My legs are killing me. Roger.
Everyone,
Great to see you.
coming out here to see our speakers. We do have this one.
Thank you so much.
Here.
Okay.
You should come up here.
You give him an autograph, I can take your autograph.
Nice to meet you.
Get in there, get your picture.
Oh.
Wait for him to come. He'll look up and meet.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
Up here, you guys. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Where are you going from here? Washington?
I'm going home. I'm going home and rest my legs.
You said you had a lot to tell about it. I enjoyed every minute of it. I really did.
Yeah. Okay.
Hi, how you doing?
Fine.
I talked to your friend here, and we got you an autographed
Okay.
picture of the flight crew from last night. No, this is for you guys. This
Oh.
is a flight crew from the B-25.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
for your service.
Okay. How are you, sir? Sure.
Yeah, how you doing?
Oh. All right.
I'm back again, the crybaby, but I have to get a picture of all of you again.
Okay.
Folks, I'm sorry. I'm gonna get Mr. Richardson, and then I need to get all of you.
You're welcome.
Thank you again.
You're welcome,
I
man.
really enjoyed your talk. Thank you. Thank you so much for your story. My dad served in
Back then it was
Shreveport.
just a job and we were having a lot of fun.
That was really loved you sharing your story. Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
That's an honor to meet you. I'm glad you're from Cleveland. All right. Love you
Okay.
guys. Bless you. Thank you.
All right. Hello, sir.
Service.
Thank you. Hello.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing
If I
fine.
could please get y'all to join these signatures that I have.
Sure.
Colonel Thomas's wife and the Master Sergeant.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your service. Thank you.
Yes, right there.
Want me to sign it?
Yes, sir, please.
Documented original Tuskegee Airman.
Documented original Tuskegee Airman.
That's what they call GOTUS.
That is the food what they, I was, line officers that they get, that's going to be official. Higher up, came, landed at the airport, I took it to the training. $50. I don't remember it.
That AAC is on the airport.
Thank you, sir.
We're in on
It is a pleasure and an honor to meet you gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. That's
Hello.
good, sir.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Thank
You
you.
sign? Thank you for serving.
I'm not the
You still in Tuskegee Airman, correct?
That's
Yes, sir. Please.
all right.
As Miss Thomas said,
How are you, sir?
keep the history alive. So,
My legs are